We have another interesting conversation here that says Tuesday's unveiling of the new Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited by the President Muhammadu Buhari marks the official transition of the oil company from an entirely state-run organization to a for-profit business limited by shares. In contrast to the past corrupt government organizations, the Nnpc Limited is anticipated to be run as a private energy company. At Abuja's presidential banquet hall, the unveiling took place. Quote, "We are transitioning, or rather transforming our petroleum industry to strengthen the growth today, July 19, 2022, end of quote," Buhari said at the event. Nnpc Limited now will operate as a commercial oil company with over 200 million shareholders with integrity and excellence, end of quote. Now, the corporation changed into a company whose operations will be governed by the Companies and Allied Matters Act weeks before the ceremonial launch. A new Petroleum Industry Act-based legal transition went into force on July 1, and weeks after President Buhari signed the PIA into law. The Nnpc finished the process of becoming incorporated in September last year. Dr. Tai, on Tuesday we saw the unveiling of the Nnpc where it's now independent, yeah, and then it's not, they will no longer remit money to federal accounts now. So let's just get your thought quickly on that.
Number one, what kind of business is Nnpc now going to be engaged with? Is it exploration? Okay, is it importation?
Okay.
Or do you want to now be producing PMS and all that here? We want to know those businesses because they were not mentioned. 200 million shareholders. Is the president saying every Nigerian is going to be a shareholder, just as Gaddafi Libya, whereby some money are being given to everybody, to all Libyans, when he was, I don't know what is operating now. When you are a graduate, it gets on how what comes to you. When you are a toddler, it gets on how what comes to you. When you are an elderly fellow, it gets on how comes to you. And, you know, graded like that. So are we also saying that? What happens to the streams?
DPR?
Yes, mainstream, middle stream, upstream, downstream, whatever stream that are there. What happens to them? I don't know whether you understand. Who are the major shareholders? And on what basis are they going to be? I don't know whether you understand.
Yes.
This same Nnpc had been unbundled some times ago. Yes. I hope you remember. Unbundled. What did we see? Or what has been the effect of that unbundling? We have not seen. Till today, we have been grappling with constant supply of fuel. And even when you get it, you buy it at a very, very high price. So, I still don't know what is going to come out of it until when we Nigerians will keep our fingers crossed and then see how it's going to affect our lives.
The change from a corporation to, you know, a company now, and I mean, being governed from the Nnpc Act of 1977 down to, you know, the Companies and Allied Matters Act, how does that also affect, you know, Nnpc at this point in time?
You see what I'm saying? It's just, for me, I'm just seeing change of name.
So you don't think it's
change of
in the
name.
right direction?
Now Nnpc Limited. Limited was not there before. Now Limited is there. Nnpc was created by instrument, by a government instrument and all that. But now it's now being governed by CAC. Company and Allied Matters
Act.
Do you understand? So, but the question is, how does this affect? One, exploration. Two, refining. Or importation. Are you with me? Refining here or importation. 3, how does it give us a constant supply of fuel at a cheaper price? Because when NEPA was first of all unbundled, the name was changed to PACA. Now, now we now have all these disco Gencos and all that, and then we could see what is happening. Today there is an increase, tomorrow another increase. Even taking our money, to be buying their own infrastructure, when that particular infrastructure has been sold to them. You know, we remember when they went to CBN and CBN gave them 300 billion or so, or whatever. Okay, these are private companies, isn't it? But then we can see what happened to Gencos, Discos, transmission companies, and all that. Are we saying such will not also happen to this Nnpc Limited? These are issues.
Now, about the issue
that Buhari needs to answer.
No, I know you've made a statement about this. You've stated your point, but about the issue, I want to look at the issue of not remitting money to the federal accounts anymore. Do you think it's a step in the right direction? Because that would help them make what's the word now? That will help them take charge of the monies that come and probably use it judiciously. That's for lack of better words.
And exactly why I was asking, who and who are going to be the shareholders? Who and who are going to be managing that account? Because whether you like it or not, Nnpc will now be in charge of our naturally endowed resource in terms of the crude oil.
Crude oil, okay.
Do you understand? So, are some people now trying to corner it from Nigerians? When you're now saying you're not even going to be remitting money to the federal government.
It's still about cornering. Yeah, it's still state-owned.
What I'm saying is this: you are not going to be remitting money directly to the federal government. Who are you now remitting money to? Who keeps that money? Whose account will the money be? That's what I'm saying. You read it just now that Nnpc Limited will now be run as a business.
As a company, yeah.
As a company. Who runs that company? All right? Who are going to be the signatories to the account of that company? The money that is not being remitted to the federal government again, where will the money be going? Who will that company be responsible to? Bearing in mind that it's going to be dealing with our commonwealth in terms of the crude oil. So who takes responsibility? How do I have access to the books? These are issues.
For all of your reservations, what kind of reforms would you have expected in terms of the Nnpc getting a remodel rather than what it is now? Because it's obvious you have several grievances with what's
not grievances. Okay. Reservations. Okay. All right? Because this thing belongs to us. It's different from this thing belongs to you. All right? So if it belongs to us, we all must be involved in the control.
Okay.
But if it belongs to you, you have the prerogative of control over it. Okay? Now, these monies are not coming to the common purse again. Why? Why? If you're now talking about what kind of reform that is supposed to come up with, you see, the problem that is bedeviling the Nnpc has to do with Nigerian problem, which is systemic breakdown, where there is no system, there is no order.
Okay.
Okay? There is no order.
Kindly explicate.
No system. In terms of, if somebody should steal the money in Nnpc, if somebody is not accountable enough in Nnpc, it should be brought to book. Who has been brought to book in the past? Nobody. And every day we wake up to hear how much fraud has been happening in that place. It's a conduit pipe for our money. We'll be hearing 20 billion unremitted. We'll be hearing this trillion unremitted. We'll be hearing this unremitted. Who has been punished? Where has that money been? Because the auditors had audited their account to be able to know how much has been stashed away. So where are all those monies? These are issues.
Okay.
But because we don't have a system in place, we don't have a kind of checks and balances, proper checks and balances. If all these things had been in place and a punitive measure, punitive procedure are also in place and then being followed judiciously, then Nigeria, we will have been smiling just like the Libya Gaddafi.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you're still very much here with us, and this conversation will definitely continues. We'll just go on a very short break now. When we return, the conversation continues with Dr. Dayokade, and it's all about the remodeled Nnpc. Thanks for staying with us. The discussion definitely continues about the remodeled Nnpc, and I'll just roll out a few things here regarding the new Nnpc in that sense, or Nnpc Limited, before we continue the conversation with Dr. Dayokade, especially regarding the new price as well. The Nnpc Limited is still a state-owned company. Now, that's public in that sense, but not public company in terms of listing on stock exchange. And companies that carry PLC, remember, are listed on stock exchange. What it means is that the PIA, that's the Petroleum Industry Act, did not privatize Nnpc, as shares are still 100% owned by the government. It has always been commercial as it sells crude oil and gas with a view to making profits. But now the new arrangement makes it fully profit-oriented. In other words, it is now bigger in terms of its dealings, in addition to still serving national interest. It will also run like any other company, as we mentioned earlier. Now, the previous version of the Petroleum Industry Bill had a provision, I beg your pardon, for phased timeline and privatization of successor companies to the old Nnpc. But the finally signed version, which the president signed, does not have that. Hence, it remains 100% government company. Looking at this, you know, we talked about the profits and all of that. It's still 100% government owned, but the controversy or the concern now is because it's now a limited company. When listed on the stock exchange, it is not public in that sense. So what happens?
You see, I continue to say this. From what you have read out and what is playing out, there's an alibi somewhere.
Okay.
Because when a thing now happens, you see some people will now go to court. All right? And then they will now be bringing some kind of technicalities, illegal technicalities.
Okay.
They'll be bringing it out. And at the end of the day, what will happen? Nothing. What is playing out in this country is nothing other than conspiracy of the leadership against the people. Finish.
So that's a strong statement. That's a strong statement.
Yes, in terms of cornering our resources to themselves. Yes. Let any one of them challenge me on a national debate as regards all this. And then we will all throw it on the table. And people will listen. All right? See, all this grammar they are speaking, limited, but not public in that sense, because it's not yet this, but it's also time, probably, we will be listed on the... We don't want that. We don't want that. Let Nnpc be. Let all our corporations, public companies, let them be. But then, put up a proper system of checks and balances, whereby any infraction will be dealt with alacrity. All right, in terms of when the auditor audits the account and says that so amount of money is missing, that money must be traced and brought back to the system, because all this money that have been missing in NSPC since all these days, if half of that money had been in the system, our university education wouldn't be the way it is now. Our children wouldn't have been sitting at home for the past 5 days. Our banks will not be reducing their working hour as it is now. You and I will not be buying fuel at expensive rates in which we are now. Do you know how they sell kerosene now? Kerosene that the downtrodden have been using to cook before is beyond their reach now. Gas that they now ask them to turn to is also beyond their reach. Firewood, uncle. No firewood again. So what hope is there for we the people?
Now you talked about a lot of money missing. And
it's not me that thought about it. People that have been auditing that account.
But you mentioned this just now.
Yes, quoting the auditors.
But don't you think that having to privatize the Nnpc would help control these monies when we have limited people having access to these accounts? It's a thought line now. It's a thought line.
You see,
and also aid our production to produce more fuel rather than
when you're talking of privatization, especially in this country, look at so many companies that have been privatized. What has happened to them? Nikon Insurance was doing greatly before now. All right? A great Nigerian insurance company was doing greatly before now. ECN, Electric Corporation of Nigeria, before now, was doing very great until his name was changed to NEPA. ECN will tell you, listen, so street, from so time to so time, you won't be having lights because we want to do 1, 2, 3 things as regards maintenance. Take your time. At that time, they will take your light. They will bring back that light on or before that time. Not after. On or before that time. They bring back the light. And you don't have surge. But look at where it was privatized. Look at what we are seeing. Look at what happened to our NNSL, Nigerian National Shipping Line. Mm-hmm. As out of 1986, 88, I did a research, an academic research on that particular company. We were having solid 21 ocean liners. 21 ocean liners. And a big building at Tabapa with offices all over the world. In Bristol, in Amsterdam, everywhere. What is it of that NNSL now? Even the building alone at Tabapa is now being habited by rodents, snakes, and all that. So what are you talking about? Is that what you want to turn Nnpc to? It is beyond privatizing it. It is beyond going limited. It's about you and I. When some something very close to unscrupulous. I don't want to use that word unscrupulous. But something very close to it. Businessmen takes over that place. Then we become their slaves again. We are still saying that a single person controlling a refinery in this country is not something that will augur well for us. We are now thinking of now carrying the the whole institution into one person's hand again. So what is now going to be our fate? And that is an area that controls mostly our economy. Are you saying you are selling the whole country to a single person's hand again? Nigerians should open their eyes. We should put on the fluorescent in our heads, and then think ahead to know that this thing that is coming. In Yoruba they will say, how do we say that one in English, Samson?
Well, a long stick that would poke one's eye, one should look at it from afar.
Thank you very much.
Do you understand?
That's a lighter note, though.
Yes, when you are, no, I'm serious. It's not in a lighter mode. No. When you are moving, like you are driving a car, and you are seeing a big ditch, you must either apply your brake, or if you are too close, quickly think on how to maneuver that ditch. Because this is another ditch for we Nigerians. And I'm saying it today. Let it be marked down and underlined. Within the shortest period of time, we will see the repercussion
No.
Okay,
of our whole economy. Being put in the hands of the few.
let's look at the, before we wrap up this conversation, let's look at, the price now, because that's something
Yeah, we
as
are.
well.
The
reason
I just see planning the witch is still about to cry, still telling people that I'm going to shout, and people have started catching cold.
The reason is this: for the remodeling of the Nnpc, it is now more. It runs now like a company, still state owned, but it is now more profit oriented. So let's. Well, it is what it is. I'm going by the official documents now. Looking at the new price, how does that affect the common man? And I understand now that the Nnpc is more, revenue, more profit oriented. But how does this, especially with the oil price, affect the common man?
I will tell you this: people cannot travel again. People cannot travel again. Before now, they've been saying, okay, instead of me traveling to that place, probably I should do whatever I want to do on phone. People cannot even service their phone again. People cannot even service their phone with credit again. I do use biro and paper to calculate how I use my credit. Are you with me? Now again, I do write it down. If I travel with my car to so place, what are the costs and benefits analysis, which is not supposed to be. All right? The effect, in a nutshell, on the common man is continual emanciation of the people. And I've said it severally. A people that refuse to emancipate themselves will continue to remain emancipated.
Oh, Dr. Dayo, well, thank you so much. A good place to wrap up. But before we just go quickly, as an aviation expert, I want to get your thoughts on the latest price of aviation fuel, which has gone up to it's almost 900 naira now, 800 and something or 809 something, if I'm getting my figures correct, but it's over 800 naira. Let me get your thoughts.
Do you know what
30 seconds, please.
Aero Air now? Aero Air. Is one of the oldest airlines in Nigeria. Have you heard what happened to them? They cannot continue operating. They cannot continue operating. So also, so many other lines or so many other airlines have even reduced their number of flights because it is no more effective. They don't get profit again. It's no more profitable running most of their flights. Okay, and what does that portend? Downsizing.
Of course. People
will go into unemployment. And those people that they're now going into unemployment, what happens to them? No, what happens to them? And that is why you see a lot of people moving on the road soliloquizing. that is talking to themselves. You think they are madmen or mad women? No, they are not. That is what the system they belong to has turned them.
All right. Dr. Dayo, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this. Sadly, that's the reality we are currently living in. We just hope that, well, still hope again, hope, which is the common language of Nigerians.
Nigerians are tired of hoping.
Well, we still hope again that it changes.
That is why they are now walking
soon.
to Japa.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dayo Kayode, for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you. It's my pleasure being here on this.
We'll be speaking with Dr. Dayo Kayode, a political technocrat and also an aviation expert, as you all know. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, a sports news standing by for you. We'll be right back.